We can now bring in Pinar, Dinc, Associate Professor at the Center for Advanced Middle Eastern Studies at Lund University. Thank you very much for joining us on the program today. Now, Imamoglu says the charges against him are baseless. What, in your opinion, has allowed the country's president, Erdogan, to go after his main opponent in such a blatant manner?
Well, I think this isn't the first time that this is happening. Back in 2015 already, when the AKP did not win the electoral majority to gain the majority of the seats in the parliament, they did detain the former co-chairpersons of the then HDP party, pro-Kurdish HDP party. Both Selahattin Demirtas and Figen Yüksekdağ have been in prison since 2016. So this isn't a new maneuver that we have seen by the AKP government towards its political opponents.
But the language coming out of Washington, for instance, has been rather muted. In a press briefing at the U.S. State Department last week, the spokesperson said, when asked about the situation in Turkey, she said, we would refer you to the government of Turkey for comments on internal judicial matters. Has the change in Washington, Donald Trump's presence, emboldened Turkey's president?
Well, I think it has been already emboldened by many other things happening in the past. We have seen this even with the Turkey-EU deal on the Syrian refugees, I think, back in 2016. So I think that this has been the case, that the West has been more and more reluctant on trying to be the main anchor towards Turkey's democratization. And yeah, I mean, definitely now that Donald Trump is in power, and the EU or European states are very busy dealing with the situation in Ukraine and its own securitization under Donald Trump's rule. I think Erdogan does have, at least he feels that he has more space to do whatever he wants to do.
It seems that for now Europe is quite alone in condemning the arrest of Istanbul's mayor. Is the bloc, in your opinion, in a tricky position? Because you mentioned that deal to keep refugees from coming to Europe. And also, let's not forget, Turkey is a NATO member. Turkey has a very large army as well. So is that why the bloc really can't put its foot down?
Well, I think everyone is trying to clean their own environment at the moment. They're dealing with a rise of right-wing governments and right-wing politics across Europe. We've been observing this, and they are really, I think, being challenged by Donald Trump and his threats towards the NATO and towards Ukraine's security. So I think Turkey and its democracy is not really on the top of Europe's agenda.
1,000 people have reportedly been detained, and some 9 journalists have been arrested in this crackdown, which we've seen since Imamoglu's arrest. How far do you think Turkey's president is willing to go?
That's a good question. I don't know, but I'm not. I wouldn't say that he wouldn't go as far as he did any time before. I think he's pretty relentless when it comes to this. And Turkey has been in a democratic, crackdown for many years now. And we have seen what had happened after the Gezi protests and after 2016 alleged coup d'etat. So, I mean, now that there's a regime change in Turkey, we have one-man rule. Everything seems on the table, unfortunately. But I'm also happy to see that there is so much resistance and from the people on the streets, at universities. On a societal level, on a really grassroots level, we see a lot of resistance now.
Given for argument's sake, let's just imagine we see sustained pressure coming from the street. Do you envision a day that Turkey's president will back down and listen to what's happening out from the street?
Well, I do think that this time around there is more emphasis on economic boycotts as well. Now we have been seeing various universities across Turkey. University students are now boycotting their lessons, and there are a lot of calls against government media that is backing the government. So not watching these TV channels, not following these television media, and boycotting and also with this crony capitalist, shops and basically restaurants and cafes, they are talking. People are talking about a serious economic boycott, and I do think that that might have an impact because this creates a huge financial instability for the country, and it seems that economics plays a huge role when it comes to politics.
Imamoglu is 53 years old. He seems to be quite savvy with social media. Even last week, before he was arrested, he actually filmed himself getting ready and told people not to back down. Is he the only one who can take on Turkey's president?
He's the most popular one, that is for sure. I think the other, and we have been talking about, potential candidates who could run against Erdogan since the last elections, and they at the end decided to go with Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, and it didn't seem to work. And now I think Imamoglu is the most popular candidate who might gain the votes of different groups in Turkey, including the Kurds and maybe more conservatives and so on, and also Kemalists and more traditional CHP electorate. So yeah, I do think that he has a huge popularity, and I would be worried if they decided to run with another person, maybe with more nationalist tendencies, more right-wing tendencies. That would be a problem.